New tonight, federal prosecutors want to pursue the death penalty against Pittsburgh synagogue shooting suspect Robert Bowers. He's accused of killing 11 and hurting several others during the shooting yesterday. U.S. Attorney Scott Brady says he has begun the process to get Attorney General Jeff Sessions' approval to pursue a capital case. In Pittsburgh tonight, a vigil was held to remember the victims of yesterday's mass shooting. The interfaith ceremony was hosted by synagogues and Jewish agencies in the Pittsburgh area. Attendees stressed the importance of love over hate. And tributes to victims are happening all over the country. As you can see, the Empire State Building's famous tower lights are dark this evening to honor the victims. Those tributes also happening here in West Michigan, where more than 100 people gathered at a synagogue in Kalamazoo tonight. A vigil took place at the Congregation of Moses. 24-hour News 8's Marvis Herring was there as people from the area mourned and called for peace.
Not everyone here tonight was of the Jewish faith, but many were, including one man from Pittsburgh whose home congregation is Tree of Life. The Kalamazoo Vigil began with a song of peace. The melody from the large crowd providing a blanket of comfort, especially for Pittsburgh native Jeffrey House.
I grew up in Tree of Life Synagogue. That's where I went to Hebrew school. That's where I had my bar mitzvah.
And his mother is still a member. She'd normally have been at the synagogue, but this past Saturday, she was not in the line of fire.
And really, quite fortunately, was late for services yesterday, and therefore is okay.
Joyce Feinberg, 75.
One of the women was my mother's good friend, Joyce Feinberg.
Brothers, Cecil Rosenthal.
Rabbi Simone Schicker of Temple B'nai Israel in Kalamazoo read the 11 victims' names as volunteers from the crowd lit candles.
And David Rosenthal, 54.
The two brothers, Cecil and David Rosenthal, were special needs adults who basically went to every service at that synagogue for 40 years.
Morning, night, any event, House remembers the Rosenthal brothers there as unofficial hosts of the synagogue.
It's one of the great ironies that, that passion and commitment is what put them in harm's way, and that really shouldn't happen.
Things that happen to Jews around the world affect Jews wherever they are because we consider ourselves to be one people and one family. And in the large world, Pittsburgh seems right next door to Kalamazoo, and so it hits us particularly hard.
We don't stand alone, and I think that's what we all need to remember, is that we are one large community. We are all Americans.
Though tonight's vigil was about mourning, it was also about peace and spreading it across the West Michigan community. In Kalamazoo, Marvis Herring, 24-hour News 8.
In Grand Rapids today, people of Jewish and Catholic faith came together. A lecture on the history of anti-Semitic violence took on renewed meaning after the shooting. Religious leaders from both faiths say it's important to confront hatred and bigotry, fighting it with love. Security measures are already in place at local temples, but the vigilance has increased.
I felt for the families, I felt for that community, for wanting to make sure there was protection in my own community, which both rabbis have done. And looking forward to today where we could have dialogue.
He adds that it's important that we all continue the conversations and lean on one another. We'll have the latest on the synagogue shooting tomorrow morning on Daybreak, and Savannah Guthrie will be live in Pittsburgh tomorrow morning on the Today Show.